Very, very important. In Judaism, it's stated that only the purest of the pure rabbi can know the holy name of God. It's much like the Smarta Brahmins, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was distributing the Hare Krishna mantra to everyone, indiscriminately, they complained to the Chankasi that now he's allowing the lower caste to He's allowing the lower caste to chant this mantra, and by this act, the potency of the mantra will be lost. And when we were doing this as a play for Prabhupada, oh, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So you give and then you receive. So but the Father doesn't have one. Yeah, the Father needs one. This is a big moment. He's been trying for years to get his boys here. Yeah. So, and look at them. I mean, they're giants. It's proof that there was a lost race of giants somewhere. Yeah, we were doing this Chankasi play for Srila Prabhupada. I'm sure you've all heard me talk about it before. And when the devotee said in the play, he's got the lower caste chanting to him. By this act, the potency of the mantra will be lost. And then Prabhupada was at the other end of the room, and he said, "But it is already increased." And everyone in the whole temple room exploded with Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So that all these traditions, ancient religious traditions, all put emphasis on the holy name of God. Now, in this age of Kali, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's referred to as a Chana avatar. Chana means he's covered. He's pretending to be he's Krishna, but he's acting as if he was a devotee of Krishna. It means he's covered. And avatar, of course, means one who's descending. And he's descended to give us this mantra, which is the process for the age of Kali. It's stated in the Naradiya Purana. Right? Naradiya Purana.
Brihad Naradiya Purana.
Brihad Naradiya Purana. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalo, kalo nasteva, gati ramata. Chant the holy name, chant the holy name, chant the holy name. This is the only way. This is the only way in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So, to reach the ultimate goal of existence is very simply put in this age by simply chanting this Hare Krishna mantra. And it is the goal of all religions. Because Lord Chaitanya came because Krishna was thinking, for so long I haven't come and given the most intimate knowledge of my most intimate pastimes. And in this age, this particular age of Kali, he came and gave us a chance not just to develop the relationship of awe and reverence, but we could develop the relationship as friend, as parental, and as a lover, more intimate pastimes. And so this is the most auspicious moment in human existence, right now. And this mantra is the most auspicious mantra. And anyone it's said by Mother Devahuti, that it's understood that anyone who's chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, or any of the bona fide names of God, it's understood that they've already gone through all the processes of karma kanda, jnana kanda, all the very Vedic rituals, other austerities. That if they are chanting the Hare, they've already gone through all of that in previous lives. But Prabhupada came and took the most unqualified and distributed the holy name of God, which was very controversial, even amongst his contemporaries in India, to cross the great ocean to come over and give this knowledge to the malechas, which is the meat eaters, is forbidden. You don't do this. And this is not, they're not qualified for this. But that was kicked out by Srila Prabhupada. Kicked out by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so I'm going to ask if we could just do a little kirtan right now. I mean, is everyone in agreement with that? Yeah. I mean, because it is the process that has come from the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. And then this was also coming down through the disciplic succession of to Lord Brahma, to Narada Muni, Vyasadeva, and then further Madhavendra Puri, then to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He personally comes, Krishna comes in his Chana avatar, then the Sat Goswamis, the 6 Goswamis, then we have Vishwanath Chakravarti, all these other great devotees, and then we have Jagannath Das Babaji, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Gaurkishore Das Babaji, Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada, and then His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So if you're in agreement with them, then please join me in this chanting. First I will glorify Srila Prabhupada, then Panchatattva, then we'll chant the Hare Krishna mantra. And this is a communion. You know, any of you who have been Catholic, you understand that you go up to the priest and he puts the body of the Lord in a wafer form on your tongue. It's a communion. Well, right now we're going to place the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead on your tongue by chanting His name. God is absolute. He's the Supreme Being. He's non-different from His name, His form, His qualities. So I'll stop talking and we'll start chanting. Just for a few minutes. Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutave Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitya Name Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutave Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Hare Rama So, this is a book. It's the authorized biography of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Chana Avatar I mentioned. And it was compiled, written. Actually, Krishnadas Kaviraj says that he didn't really write it. He was like 96, 97 years old. He was deaf. He was blind. His hand was trembling like this. And yet somehow or other, the deity, Radha Madan Maha, was dictating to him and directing him to write these pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he is constantly, at the end of each chapter, saying that let me offer my respectful obeisances to Rupa and Raghunath Das Goswamis, two of the 6 Goswamis, who he was inspired, they inspired him to take up this task. So he says, how can I be writing this? I can't see. I can't hear. I can hardly hold the pen. But this book was written. Krishna directed him to write this book. So, these pastimes are not ordinary pastimes. And by hearing the pastimes of the Lord, you're actually associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is a pastime that has to do with an older Brahmin and a younger Brahmin. And it's called the Sakshi Gopala, the witness Gopala. So, the way this is told in the Chaitanya Charitamrita is that Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda and some associates were on a pilgrimage, going to holy places. And they get to it's Kathak at that time, and they stop at the Sakshi Gopal temple, and the Lord and His devotees are just completely immersed in ecstasy, seeing the beauty of Gopal. And there's a very wonderful kirtan, and then Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is standing. Lord Nityananda is to our left, who's actually Balaram in Krishna's Leela, and Lord Chaitanya is to our right. So, and these are not just marble statues, they're actually the deity form. And we will learn this by this pastime, that the deity is non-different than Krishna. And it depends on your purity. It depends on one's purity and devotion that Krishna will reveal himself through that deity form. He'll reveal himself through the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. He'll reveal himself through the scriptures and hearing the pastimes. He's revealing himself every day, everywhere you look. We see Krishna and his energies. So, Lord Nityananda tells Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he'd been there before, and he'd heard the story from the local townspeople of the Sakshi Gopal and how this whole incident took place. So he begins to tell that many years prior, in a town called Vijayanagara, it's in South India, an elderly Brahmin was being taken by a younger Brahmin. The elderly Brahmin was from aristocracy, very well educated. He was a man of means, great wealth, and these are the symptoms of someone's past karma. The younger Brahmin was not from aristocracy. He was very poor, but he was very pure in heart. And his only motive for doing this was to be the servant of Krishna, which is our philosophy. He only wanted to please a Vaishnava, a senior Vaishnava, by assisting him on going to holy places of pilgrimage in the latter part of his life. So first they go to, I think it's Keshi Ghat, they go to Prayag, someplace else I'm forgetting. And then they go to Mathura. And from Mathura, they go to Govardhan Hill, and then they go to Vrindavan, and to all the different forests in Vrindavan. And Vrindavan is a town of something like 32 miles, or something like that. And it includes Nandagram and Varsana. But there was a town, I think it's called Panchakrosha, where the Gopal deity was residing at that time. And so when the older Brahmin and the younger Brahmin get there, to this place, the older Brahmin is just becoming overwhelmed. This is a long journey. It's taking them, at least 100 or more days. It's quite some time. And the younger Brahmin was serving him just as if he was his guru. And he was serving him in such a way that he never felt fatigue. He never felt discomfort. And the older Brahmin was just feeling so grateful to him that he said, my own son wouldn't take care of me like this. You are taking care of me so nicely. If I don't do something, give in charity to you, then I will be just an ungrateful. I have to express my gratitude to you. And the younger Brahmin is saying, no, that's all right, I'm just doing it for the service. It's not for any materialistic sense gratification, any material reason. He says, no, I must give you. And this is what I have decided. I have decided to give you my daughter in charity, that she will be your wife. And the younger Brahmin says, no, sir, please, no. That will never work. Your family will totally rebel against this. They'll never accept me as a son-in-law. You are aristocracy. You have wealth. Your daughter is beautiful. You're all educated. I am poor. I am not aristocracy. This will not be accepted. And people will look upon your family and mock your family for allowing this poor, uneducated Brahmin to take your daughter as wife. Please don't say this. He said, she's my daughter, and but he didn't quite say it like that. He was older. He's like, I'm not being too forceful. He said, she's my daughter. I have the right to do this. No one can stop me. I will do this. He said, please don't say this. If you're saying this, I don't want to blemish your religious practices. If you're making this promise, I'm asking you, if this is what you really feel in your heart, please let us ask Gopal to be our witness. So the Brahmin says, yes, that's what we'll do. Because I don't care what my family says. We'll have Gopal as my witness. So they go before the deity, Gopal, and they speak to him. And they say, the older Brahmin says, I wish to give this young Brahmin, as a gratitude for his service to me, my daughter in marriage. My family may resist, but I want you to be a witness to this. And Gopal agrees. Actually, Gopal speaks to them. The deity talks. And so after some time, they stay there for about 2 to 4 days. They go back, and then they're back home, and they go back to their respective homes, different neighborhoods. And this pledge has been weighing on the elder Brahmin's mind for some time. And he knows he has to explain this to his family. So he calls a family meeting, and he says, while on pilgrimage, I decided that boy who was serving me was so kind to me and served me so nicely. He is qualified. I want him to take care of my daughter. I want him to be her husband. And they go, what? What? Don't say that again. Don't say it out loud. The son especially. The son was actually an atheist. And he says, who did you say this in front of? He said, Gopal deity in Vrindavan. Oh, that's all? Oh, what's the problem? You just told me the marble statue. No problem. You just, and they're saying, if you do this, we'll be the laughing stock. Everything that the younger Brahmin warned him, we'll be the laughing stock of the whole village. I'm not going to stand for this. It's just not going to happen. You just don't say another word about this. If you do this, my mother, your wife, and all of the rest of us will be so embarrassed that we'd rather die. We will all take poison and die rather than let this happen. Now what we're going to do is, you don't actually have to lie. You have to be diplomatic. Like, Yudhisthira, he told Ashvatthama he told Dronacharya that Ashvatthama is dead. Actually, he didn't mean Ashvatthama the person, he meant Ashvatthama the elephant. So he wasn't actually lying, but it was misleading. He was diplomatic. Excuse me one second. So, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. Remember? We never used to drink water unless we said Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. So, he's the taste in water. So, he says, you just say, I don't remember. It's very similar to, Colleen and I were laughing about this, that, a few years ago, the Attorney General, I don't want to get to the Pope, but he was from the George Bush era, and he's being asked questions by the Congress, and he keeps saying, I don't recall. I wasn't at that. That's not my department. And ultimately, what do you do? Because that's above my pay grade, or that's not in my scope of expertise. I wasn't there. I don't recall. He didn't know anything. I don't recall. When you hear that, you just think, it goes back a long ways. So, coincidentally, the next day, the young man shows up at the house, and he says, for some time, we made this pledge, and I've been wondering what you plan to do. And the old man just sits silently. And then the son comes out. He's got a stick. You rogue! You manipulated my father. I want you out of this house. Get out! And when he sees the stick, he doesn't want any trouble. He just leaves. And then he goes to the townspeople and describes the whole incident to them. And then they have a town meeting the next day at the town hall. And the family's invited. So the old man comes, the older Brahmana, and so does his son. The young man explains that while on pilgrimage, I wasn't interested in anything. I was just doing this as service to a Vaishnava, and I wasn't interested in any kind of remuneration. But the older Brahmin, because he is such a pure-hearted Brahmin, he felt obligated to offer me in charity his wife. Excuse me, his wife. Yeah, here, take my wife. His daughter. And we made this statement in front of the Gopal deity in Vrindavan, and he agreed to be the witness. And the old man is silent. Then the son speaks. The son says, "This rogue, you do really seriously believe that my father of aristocracy would agree to give his daughter to this uneducated, poor Brahmin? He robbed my father the entire trip. He was stealing all of his Lakshmi, all of his money. He stole all of his money. Then he fed him an intoxicant. I think it's called Dutara. And it made my father mad, and he didn't know what he was saying. This man is a liar. And he exploited my father because he was senior for his own personal gains." And the people in the town start to think, well, it's possible. I mean, he is much poorer, and he's not, so maybe he would have misused the situation. And the young man says, his son is saying these things to try to confuse everyone here. And I know that his father, I know his heart, and I know that he is concerned. He's not speaking up because he's afraid that his family will commit suicide if this transaction goes through. But I say to you that Sakshi Gopal was the witness, and I will, I propose that I go and speak with Sakshi Gopal and have him come and be the witness. Now the son thinks this is great. Yeah, a marble statue is going to come all the way. Maybe he was hearing voices. He was a little, crazy, and he heard some voices, and he thought the deity was talking to him. If you really think, and how in the world is he going to get anybody to carry the deity up here? And then if he does, is the deity going to talk to all of us? So all the atheists are laughing and joking. And there are some sincere people in the town thinking, okay, it is Krishna, Anything is possible. And in his heart, the older Brahmin was thinking, yes. So it was very interesting how Krishna resolved. The son wanted, yes, this is a good idea. He didn't want this to happen, the marriage. But he thought, this is the perfect arrangement. Because the deity isn't going to come. The father wants this transaction to happen. And he's saying, yes, the deity will come. They had firm faith that he will come. So the younger Brahmin goes back and he speaks. I'm leaving out lots of details, but this is the sum. So he goes and he offers the basis to Sakshi Gopal, or at that point he's just the Lord Gopal, and he explains what has transpired. And Gopal says, "Yes, I remember this. And if you go back to the town and you simply meditate on me, I will appear and I will tell that story. I will be your witness." And younger Brahma says, "Sir, I'm sorry, that's just not going to work." I mean, this is Krishna. But he had that kind of innocence and purity. He said, no, unless you yourself come in your deity form, they're not going to believe. They're going to just think it's some magic trick. You have to come yourself. At which point, Gopal says, well, I've never heard of a marble deity walking all the way, to South India. And then the younger Brahmana says, well, you're talking. Surely you can walk. That's basically word for word what happens. And then Lord Gopal says, Well, I guess you have a point. So he says, okay, I will go there. I will follow you. But you must keep your eyes forward. You will know that I'm behind you because you'll hear the ankle bells. And every day you must prepare 1 kilo of rice for me and offer it to me. That's a lot of rice. I don't know how he arranged that, but he was able to do it. So they walk for 100 days, and he's hearing the ankle bells the whole way. He never looks back, offering the rice every day. He finally reaches the town of Vijayanagara, and then he stops and thinks, well, I hear the ankle bells, but, if I go back to my home and then they don't see him, I'm going to look like a fool. So, even if I turn around now and he just stops here, at least he's in the town. So to make sure I don't look like a fool, I'm going to turn around. And he does. And there's Sakshi Gopal, there's Gopal, Lord Gopal, and he's smiling. And he says, now you go and bring all the townspeople to me. So he goes and announces it. They all come running. They see the beauty of Gopal. And they all just fall like sticks at his feet. Hey! Whoa! Gopal! They fall to the ground like sticks. And then Sakshi Gopal explains to them, yes, this Brahmin, he promised his daughter in charity. I want to read something here. So then what happens is, I'll read something. I think it's important that I read better. I think this is really important. Because now, the townspeople went to see the witness Gopal. And when they saw the Lord actually standing there, they all offered their respectful obeisances. When the people arrived, they were very pleased to see the beauty of Gopal. When they heard that he had actually walked there, they were all surprised. Then the elderly Brahmana, being very pleased, came forward immediately, fell like a stick in front of Gopal. Thus, in the presence of the townspeople, Lord Gopal bore witness that the elderly Brahmin had offered the daughter in charity to the younger Brahmana. And another example is that in this initial negotiation, where the Brahmana was trying to talk him out of it, he points out the story of Rukmini. That Rukmini's father wanted her to have Krishna as her husband. And she wanted Krishna as her husband. But her elder brother, Rukmini, wanted the king of Chedi, Shishupal, to have his sister. And so because the elder brother demanded, he then offered, the father offered Shishupal, Rukmini as his wife. Rukmini writes a letter to Krishna, and she begs him, please come kidnap me. Take me away. I don't want to marry Shishupal. And so Krishna comes, he kidnaps, and they're furious. There's a big battle. Rukmini follows, and they're fighting. And then Rukmini is really offensive to Krishna, and Krishna's about to kill him. And then Rukmini pleaded with him, please don't kill my brother. I know he's awful, but please don't kill him. And so he decides to cut off all of his hair, which is very insulting to a Kshatriya. So that's one of the evidences that this young Brahmin gave to the older Brahmin not to do this. But here we have that this Gopal deity actually acted as the witness. And so here's a very important statement. This one verse here says, after the marriage ceremony was performed, the Lord informed both Brahmanas, you two Brahmanas are my eternal servants, birth after birth. There's a very interesting purport here by Srila Prabhupada. He says, like these two Brahmanas of Vijayanagara, there are many devotees who are eternal servants of the Lord. They are specifically known as Nitya Siddha.
eternally perfect. Although the Nitya Siddha appear in the material world and seem to be common members of the world, they never forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead in any condition. This is the symptom of a Nitya Siddha. But they don't announce who they are. They don't broadcast that. And in this case, it even appears that he's informing them, remember, you are my eternal associates. They're under a certain type of yoga maya. And that's why it also describes that an ordinary marriage ceremony would not be very interesting to hear this story or this pastime to someone like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he's a sannyasi. But because this was a pastime, which one proves that the deity form of the Lord is non-different from the Lord, and two, this was a pastime between two Nitya Siddhas. The younger Brahmin over and over again says, I did not do this for any material benefits. I did this for the benefit of serving a Vaishnava. And there's actually a purport by Bhakti Siddhanta. I don't know if it's later or here, maybe I already passed it. Where he says that, that that he was a pure devotee, and he was only interested in performing service to a Vaishnava. He wasn't interested in gaining a beautiful wife and marrying into a wealthy family. That was just the byproduct of his service. And he knew it was going to create trouble for him. And so, but that's why this pastime is pleasurable for all devotees. It's not just another story about how mommy met daddy, which we all know that's common, and how they got married, and so on and so forth. This is a story about how Krishna acts to protect his devotees who are pure of heart. What happens after this is, I'll just briefly say, what time is it? Can you move your head, please? Yeah, okay, we got a few minutes. So, what happens after this is that, so then Gopal asks the two Brahmins, would you like, you can ask any benediction you want. And so they ask that you stay here in Vijayanagara, don't go back to Vrindavan, and allow the local people to worship you here. So he agrees to that. Finally, the king of that area comes, and he's also just is mesmerized by the beauty of the Lord. He builds a temple. And so for some time, that deity was in Vijayanagara. After some time passed, though, there was some politics in the local area, and another king from like the Jagannath Puri area, there was some, I don't know, it doesn't actually say if it was a battle or something, but anyway, he takes over that province where Vijayanagara is. And he then goes before Gopal and asks him, please, can you come and give darshan in my area? Actually, that's where he's in Katak, where Lord Chaitanya sees him. Right now, he's not in Katak, he's been moved again, or he is moved again. So there's an interesting pastime surrounding that, a brief one, that the wife of the king, his name was Pushottama, his wife, she had a very beautiful pearl nose ring. It wasn't a ring, it was a pearl in her nose. And she just wanted to give it to Gopal. She thought, only if he had a hole in his nose, I could give. And normally you can't give something that you already have worn, but she really wanted to give this to him. And that night she had a dream. And Gopal said, when I was a little boy, my mother put a hole in my nose, and she put in a pearl, like yours. So it'd be so nice if you could come and bring that pearl. So she tells her husband,
And then they come, and they offer and there it is, the hole is in the nose, and they put the pearl. Then there's a big festival, and so when Lord Nityananda, I have to read this part because I can't do it justice otherwise. Lord Nityananda finally finishes this story. He says, the devotees, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting before Sri Gopal, before Gopal deity, all the devotees saw him and the deity as being the same form. They were the same complexion, and both had gigantic bodies. Both wore saffron cloth. Both were grave. The devotees saw that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Gopal were brilliantly effulgent and had eyes like lotuses. They were both absorbed in ecstasy, and both their faces resembled full moons. When Nityananda saw the Gopal deity and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that way, he began to exchange remarks with the devotees, all of whom were smiling. Then there was they all took great pleasure in seeing Lord Chaitanya in this way, and the Gopal deity in this way. What basically just that they took the same form, they both wore the same cloth, they had the same color, they were gigantic, much like Narayan and Nimai, very large, and they were effulgent, and their faces looked like full moons, their eyes like lotus petals, and it was amazing to everyone. And then there was big kirtan. They passed the night that way. The next morning they observed Mangal Artik, and they went on their way, continuing their pilgrimage. So this pastime tells us a lot about the importance of having faith in the presence of the Lord in the Archer Vigraha form. That these are not ordinary marble statues. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just as the Hare Krishna mantra is Krishna. He's dancing on your tongue. And the more you're present while chanting, the attitude you have, the humility you have, the more you will taste the nectar for which you have always been hankering. I'm only speaking from philosophical, but Lord Nityananda is there, Lord Chaitanya is there, Radhakanta is there, and Radharani is definitely there. Srila Prabhupada is right here. He's also there. And Paramatma is in our hearts. So I want to thank you very much for allowing me to speak. Any revelations, or anyone have some yes?
I didn't understand the connection between the story with Rukmini and Krishna.
Because that's an example. I forgot to tell it, so I wanted to, throw it in, because when the young Brahmin was arguing with the older Brahmin not to do this, he reminded him that Rukmini's father wanted to do this, and he couldn't do it because of the elder son's objection to it. So that was the connection. I put it in the wrong part of the story. Sorry. Anything else? What's that?
Everyone else probably got it.
No, it was confusing, I'm sure. Anything else? Otherwise, the thing is that one of the things they say is nobody has to tell you. Like if you're making progress in spiritual life, you will know. And just like when you eat a meal and you're full, nobody has to tell you you're full. You know it. So we right now have the opportunity to have another form of the Lord in the form of prasadam.
Yeah.
And hopefully you will eat
to your full satisfaction. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Oops, Hare Krishna. Okay, there's part of it, eyeglasses like this.
If you have eyeglasses, just
And
maybe
if you're
check to see
missing
if you
one
have
eye?
lenses,
One lens,
because we have one that I just found on the floor.
right here, right now, in this spot.
Prabhu, you have a question.
Yes.
The deity you're talking about, isn't that still present in India?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but not in the. It's been moved. It's in a different. It actually mentions Prabhupada mentions it here in the purport. I can read it to you. It says where he's gone. It's because you know how Prabhupada actually tells you if you take this train and you turn left and like that. So it's actually described here. Yes, yes. Go ahead.
I think we went to that temple on safari,
Yeah.
but they wouldn't let us in.
Oh, really?
I saw, it was an original.
Only the people in
So you asked something you knew.
But I want to make sure, no?
She's
Okay.
testing.
I just want to make sure.
So, and then, so it says the city of Vijayanagara, that was there, and now, and he moved it to, but anyway, it's in here, I just don't remember exactly where, but it's been moved twice. Well, 3 times altogether. It went from Vrindavan to Vijayanagara, then it went from Vijayanagara to Cuttack, and then it went to someplace else. And I believe it's somewhere near Jagannath Puri.
Yes, nearby.
Right near Jagannath. You know?
There's actually, he was also in Jagannath Puri temple.
Yes, and there was an
There is
argument there.
One pastime there.
Yes, yeah.
That
Tell.
he was placed in the temple right in the pathway to the kitchen.
Yeah.
So the food offering would come to Jagannath. The Pandas used to bring the prasad before Jagannath would have to pass through him. And so Jagannath complained to the king that he's not getting enough food. And he was like, why, what's the problem? We are offering the same food we used to do all the time. Like, no, this Gopala, he sits on the door, he finishes half of it before it comes. And I get leftovers a little bit. So you have to make arrangement and put him some other temple.
Yeah.
And so that's how he's moved up. He's nearby Puri, I'm not remembering exactly. I think in Remuna is Kirchur Gopinath. And Gopinath is also somewhere there, but yeah, the Sakshi Gopal is somewhere near Bhubaneswar.
Yeah, and actually, that's near Bhubaneswar Road, it says.
Yes.
And Jagannath Puri, or the Jagannath train station, I think that's what it said. And that incident is referred to as a lover's quarrel.
Yes.
So, yeah. Now we're getting deep. Okay. Hare Krishna.